Hello, welcome to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University, and welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Grow West, the Technology Council of West Kentucky, KY Innovation, and local partner Sprocket Innovation in Paducah, and the Kentucky Innovation Station in Madisonville. This week is episode number 99 for 10 at 10. We're going to talk about backups today. I was posed a question this week that I thought I would just talk a little bit to you about and actually ask you what your opinion is as well. And the question was, I was doing a presentation talking about backups and talking about disaster recovery. And I talked about doing backups and I talked about cloud backups. And the question was, which is the right one? Which should you do? And I thought, it's a simple question, but actually a really good question. And I thought I would talk about it. So today we're talking about, cloud or not to cloud. Should we back up to the cloud or should we do local backups? And that's what I really want to dive into a little bit today. So let's start off by looking at the different types of backups. First of all, the traditional backups. The way that we have done backups for 20, 30 years is on a Sunday, you do a full backup of all the files, or on a weekend, Saturday night, Sunday morning type of thing. And then throughout the week, you do one of two types of backups. You do a differential backup or you do an incremental backup. Differential backup backs up everything since the last full backup, and incremental backs up everything that changed from the last time you did an incremental. They're both, there's pros and cons. One's faster, one takes a little bit longer. If you're having to restore, say on a third day, if you're using a differential backup, then you're only going to use the full backup and the differential backup from Thursday or from Wednesday night. If you're doing that with incrementals, then you're going to have to use the full backup plus the incremental from Monday night, the incremental from Tuesday night, and the incremental from Wednesday night. So there's a few more tapes there. There's pros and cons. That's the way that we have done backups for a long, long time. All right. So that's the option number one. Option number two is the cloud. And the cloud has benefits. The cloud has benefits that traditional backups don't have. First of all, there's a redundancy factor built in. One of the things, and I'll get to this in a minute, is that you don't want to have all your backups on site. What if there's a fire? What if there's something going on? Well, cloud has that built in already. If you look at these maps, these are maps that I found online, and they're both probably outdated. There's probably more data centers than what is shown on here, but these are all the data centers that Google and AWS, Amazon Web Services, have around the globe, and they're everywhere. So you don't have to worry about a tornado hitting one location or a hurricane hitting a location. The redundancy that's built into this network is phenomenal. Speaking of the hurricane example, I was speaking with one of our alums that works at Google a few months ago, and it was right before that hurricane was coming into Florida that was so devastating. And I asked him, does Google worry about the impact that hurricane's going to have to its data center in Florida? And he said, well, we're keeping an eye on it, but we don't, as far as services to customers go, they didn't care because they have so much redundancy built in that customers aren't going to notice if one of those data centers go down. That's how redundant their network is. So that's great. Now, you still got to repair, you still got to recover from it, but as a customer, we wouldn't have anything to worry about. Now, the flip side of that is Google also won't necessarily guarantee that their data stays in the United States or in a particular area or out of a particular area because that redundancy is built out around the globe. And I'll touch on that in a minute. Amazon Web Services, they have that same redundancy. Microsoft's going to have that. All of these large cloud providers are going to have that redundancy built in. So if you're looking at cloud as a backup, there's some positives there. Before I go any further, I want to stop and share a few tips. If you are going to do backup to the cloud, first of all, use different accounts. You don't want the account that you're logging onto your computer with to also be the account that you're backing up your files with. That's never a good idea. You don't want to do that. If somebody were to compromise your credentials, then now they've compromised your backup credentials as well. So that can certainly be a problem. You want to automate your backups. A lot of folks don't think about that. You want it to be automatic because you get busy. You're going to be thinking about something else, and not going to remember, oh, I didn't run today's backups. So you want to make sure that you're automating that. And if you're backing up to the cloud, maybe it's even a real time or every 15 minutes even. You want to get your policies and retention right, and you want to keep in mind where your data is stored. I just mentioned that Google sometimes won't guarantee where that data is. If you have regulatory requirements about retention, about who can access your data, about where your data can be stored, you need to make sure that you look at the fine print of your cloud backup, because that could be a problem, and you could be in violation of your regulatory requirements and not even know it. Take a look at the services. You want to use services that focus on data safety. You want to make sure your data is encrypted. You don't want to store backup data in the cloud unencrypted. That's a recipe for problems. It's a privacy issue. That's a customer data safety issue. That's a confidentiality of your, even your trade secrets that your organization has, whatever those things that you want to keep confidential within your organization. If you store that in plain text in the cloud, then you're probably going to have some issue there. Price does matter. You don't want to pay too much, but you also, if you're paying too little and it feels like it's too little, then that could be a problem, because what are you getting? And then you want to integrate in the public cloud. And what that means basically is that you want to know that redundancy is built in, like what we were talking about with AWS and Google. You want to know that's there. You want to make sure that that's there, and integrating with the public cloud would help with that. So which one's right? Which one's wrong? The answer is it depends. That's the answer. How much money do you want to spend? What's your situation look like? What's the right answer? And the answer really is it depends. And maybe the answer is yes. You should do local backups and you should do cloud backups. And for an example, if your internet connection goes down, you can still back up locally, but you can't back up to the cloud. But if your internet connection goes down and you need to get access to that data, how do you get access to that data if it's only in the cloud? Well, you want that local backup. But if your building burns down and that data is in the cloud, then you can go to another location, get access to it. So there's pros and cons both ways. So the answer is not as simple as one or the other. But let me tell you the starting point. The starting point is that yes, you should have backups. Whether you choose to do local backups, whether you choose to do cloud backups, or some hybrid combination thereof, you should have backups. And the starting point, there's a theory, 3-2-1. You should have 3 copies of your data, one being the primary, and 2 backups, 2 different storage media. So if you use a local drive or a tape drive or a network share, then you should store or use multiple of those. Use different ones to make sure that you have 2 different media, at least 2 different media storage options. That way that if one messes up, you still have another option. And then one of those copies should be stored offsite. That could be in a vault in another location. That can be in the cloud. Let me just say, offsite does not mean across the street. It does not mean down the block. Offsite means to be out of this area. That if there's a disaster that hits your area, it's not going to also hit your backups. That's the idea. So where do you start? Have some backups. You should have something. Let me know what you think. Are you a cloud backup person? Are you a local backups person? Are you a combination of? Which is your preference? What do you use? Share with me. You can share it in the comments. Send me a message. Let me know what you think. But I'll say the starting point, the minimum threshold is to have backups. You got to have something. If you're not backing up your data right now, then you're not protecting yourself to ransomware. You're not protecting yourself against all of these attacks that are happening on a daily basis to organizations. You're not prepared. You're not ready if that comes and happens to you. So you got to back up. Then we can talk about whether local backup or cloud backup is better. And there's a price factor and there's some other variables that can go along with that. But please make sure that you're backing up your data. All right, that's it. I appreciate you joining for today. This is, again, episode number 99. So next week is the big 100 episode. So thank you very much. I hope to see you back here next week. And thank you for joining, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.